What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Pegasus 303 channel. The following tutorial, it's sort of piggybacks on my previous video of adding custom artwork, your samples and drum loops and drum kits and whatnot. This one is for the plugins. You probably found a ton of VST plugins online, you downloaded them, and you want your artwork to display nice and neatly. So this is for any NKS user libraries, VST plugins, etc. It's similar to the previous video as far as artwork is concerned. However, there is a little bit of database work that needs to be done. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's launch Maschine. So as I previously mentioned, you probably downloaded a ton of VST effects plugins, synthesizers, because they're free. Some of them are dirt cheap, and it would be nice to have them nice and organized. I have quite a few myself here, but instead of accessing it from the insert, I would like to see it here in similar to the way you would your Native Instruments Factory plugins, different categories, the artwork. Same with your instruments. I'd like to see my VSTs come up like this in my user. As you can see, I have nothing. So first off, we'll have to create a preset file. So let's go ahead and let's use Isotope Ozone Imager. Full disclosure, I bought this. I am not sponsored by Isotope. However, get at me if you want to. Anyway, let's go ahead and load that up. And this would be a good time to grab a screen grab of the actual plugin itself because you need it later for the artwork. So let's go ahead and save a preset. And don't worry about tweaking it or doing anything to it. This is just kind of to get us going. Then later on, that's when you can really dig in your presets. So let's not go to the default path. For your Mac users, you want to go to your hard drive, users, your username, documents, Native Instruments, and user content. And let's save that there. For your Windows users, go to your C drive, users, your username, documents, Native Instruments, and user content. So let's go ahead and save that. All right, and you see that popped up there, and hey, you've got a something going on here, but it says other and Ozone Imager, but no artwork. So we'll go ahead and deal with that a little bit later. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our preset folder. Okay, really important. If you're going to be doing presets over time, it's good to keep this really organized. This is my first preset file, and what you want to do is you'll want to create subfolders. So create a root folder. So let's say, for example, Isotope. Make that your root folder or your master folder, and then create subfolders for each instance of, a plugin. So let's go back here. So let's go ahead and let's create a folder. All right, that's going to be Isotope. And I'm going to copy this Ozone Imager name. Really important that this will be sort of the jump off point for our artwork in our database files, and I'll get into that a little bit later. And let's do this. Now note that if I drag this preset file into the Ozone Imager folder, something weird might happen. So let's go ahead and go back to Maschine. I'm going to go ahead and select this, right click, and I'm going to delete that. Let's just do it all over again. So let's save as. And note that some of your VSTs will actually create subfolders on their own. In this case, it didn't. Once again, let's go to our user content folder, Isotope, and Ozone Imager, and let's just save it right into that folder. Ozone Imager. Okay, and there it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's hide Maschine for the moment. And let's take a quick look at this. So I chose Isotope Ozone Imager, and ahead of time, I went ahead and prepped some artwork. So there is a photo of the actual plugin, and here's a logo. That's a PNG file, and that's just going to overlay. And then here is just the basic artwork. So let's do that. And then I went ahead and took it a step further. Ozone Imager. I'm going to select all these except for our metadata. I'll get into that later. I'm going to open these, and so this is what it's going to look like If you like, refer to my previous video of creating the artwork. This will show you the sizes and how to edit them and get them going. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and copy this folder here. And really quick, let's go to our NI resources folder. And this is where your database and your image files will live. So for the images, it's going to be your hard drive, users shared NI resources image. That's this folder here. And PC, going to be your C drive, users, public documents, NI resources image. And let's go ahead. And I already created an isotope folder here. Remember, as with your presets, you want to have your main folder and the individual plugins. So I already created the ozone imager. So let's go ahead and just drag that. Also note, it's really important to back up. Just back up your files as often as you can. So if anything ever goes weird, you can just revert back. So once again, let's dig into our folder here. I'm going to open up all these except for the metadata. Once again, this was all prepped, and refer to my previous video creating artwork for your loops, drum sounds, samples, etc. Okay, now, really important, this folder name has to match this folder, so everything should match more or less all around, or you may have issues. Our meta file needs to have the same name, and let's go ahead and open that. On the Mac, you can open that in simple text or text edit. I forget what it's called now, text edit. If you're using Windows 10, you can use Notepad or WordPad. One thing to remember is on your Mac preferences, make sure it's plain text. And encoding, you want to be Unicode UTF-8, and then you see that right here. And I'll create blank files for you so you can reference them and rehash them if you like. But for your metadata for the image, you want to have name of the plugin and image right here. That's really important. And that's already been done. Okay, let's now go to our database. Now, this here is the factory stuff. So you're going to have to create a folder. So let's go ahead and create that. And keep in mind, that's going to be users shared NI resources. And let's create this folder. I'm going to paste it. This DIST underscore database. That's really important for you Windows users. Your C drive, users, public documents, NI resources, and create that folder on your PC. DIST underscore database. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And once again, I created that ahead of time. And okay, so let's create our, actually I didn't create the isotope folder, so. Okay, isotope and ozone imager. So let's go ahead and just drag that into that folder. Okay, so let's go in a little deeper here. And there's going to be 4 files. There's going to be categories, color, and short name. And these are JavaScript object notation files, or Json. Let's go to categories. And you can open those once again for your Mac users. You can open that in text edit. And for Windows users, you can use Notepad or WordPad. There is an online resource as well that you can use, and I will show you that. So here's what it's going to look like. So for categories, your JSON file, vendor, isotope, product, ozone imager, effects under file type, and sound field. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it sound field. You can call it dynamic, whatnot. But there is a list of names I'll put on the screen that for effects, there's amps and cabinets, character, delay, distortion, EQ, filter. There's a whole ton of names. And if you refer to the native instruments screen, you'll see how they're sort of categorized. And you can use those names, create your own name, just as long as it's in this and it works. So I'm going to close that. Okay, and then our color.json file. So this here, this is our color hex. And I believe this is black. We can look that up, but you can change this. I don't have a reason to, so I'll go ahead and keep that as default. Okay, and then our short name, a JSON file. This is where you can just put a shorter name or put the whole name, abbreviation. I don't really deal with this personally, but you're welcome to do that. And really important also is our meta. Once again, make sure this name matches folder. All this will be default. Don't worry about this. However, this is going to be slightly different from the image one. You'll insert the vendor for this one, and I'll have that available. You can grab that if you like. So you put the vendor name, once again, the name of the plugin. And instead of image this time, it's going to be the DIST database. So this is going to match that database folder. And if you're having trouble creating the .json files, here's a JavaScript object notation editor. I'll make that link available for you so you can go ahead and open from disk. And let's grab that. Categories. Let's open that guy up. Okay. So basically it's got all this info. You can change the vendor, change the product, change the file type. So this could be effects or it could be instrument. And then here is where you would change it to the type of effects or the type of instrument. And then you can go ahead and save to disk. It's automatically going to add .json extension. And let's go ahead and allow the download. Okay, and that's going to go directly to our download folder. And let's go ahead and look at that. This is not in our image folder or our database folder. We'll go ahead and launch that. It's on another screen. Bring it over. And basically, it's the same thing we already have. But if for some reason it's not working properly, go ahead and use this. I'm going to go ahead and quit that. Get rid of this. Right, and let's go to the next step. So one thing I did forget to note is go ahead and quit Maschine and relaunch it. And it should rescan, and in theory, it's going to see our artwork and our name and all that good stuff. So let's see what happens. Okay, we see our artwork. Put the short name and sound filled. So if you recall, actually, and let's go ahead and load it up. Okay, and you see there's the logo and there's our previously created preset. Sorry, bear with me. Let's grab our... Okay, so you see the sound filled that actually shows up here, nice and neat. The short name. Sorry, a little clumsy here. Short name, Ozone, that's what popped up. And of course you recall our artwork. Now let's try this with a synth. Oh, also please note that if for any reason you might see the artwork, but it'll say other and not the category you created. Let's go ahead and select that. Really important, go to edit. Make sure it says Isotope and not Isotope Inc. Some of the vendors, they have like their full name or the legal name, and it'll vary from your folder name. So just make sure this matches the folder name as well. Now, there may be another instance. Let's go back. where you'll see the proper name, sound field, or EQ or whatever, but you will not see the artwork. Now, if that happens, let's go user content, NI resource image. And remember, we have it nested in another folder. Let's go to our isotope. So what you'll want to do is take this one out. Okay, let's remove it. Actually, nope, let's stop. Okay, let's quit Native Instruments. And our ozone imager, our artwork, let's go ahead and pull that out of the main folder. And also, this might come in handy for you complete control MK2 keyboard with a second screen. If you're not seeing your artwork, this may be a fix for that as well. I believe I read that somewhere. But okay, I removed that. So let's go ahead and launch Maschine again. I'm going to cut the video so that way we can get to the nitty gritty. Okay, so our artwork's gone, but our name is still there. So if you, now it didn't do it this time. The name didn't change, but let's say for any reason it had a wrong name, but the artwork displayed, or vice versa. It's kind of really no rhyme or reason to it. It just seems to do weird stuff. But I'll go ahead and select it, edit, properties, and I'll have to change this to Native Instruments for the vendor, and that pops up. And let's go ahead and apply that. Now, if I go back, hey, I'll see my artwork, but now it says other. So if this happens, and this can be a pain, I had to stumble through this quite a few times. Let's go back to our database, isotope, and let's go to our categories. Vendor. Okay, let's go ahead and change that vendor to Native Instruments. Let's copy that. Okay, I'm going to save that. Everything else will stay the same. Let's also go to our metadata for our database, not the image file. And vendor here, let's change that also to Native Instruments. Okay, once again, you can rescan it, but it's probably better to just go ahead and quit Native Instruments. Bear with me, and let's go ahead and launch that again. I'm going to cut the video. Okay, let's take a look at this here. So you see it displays the artwork. It displays the full name this time. Not sure why it does that, but that's not a huge deal. And it says sound field. So if you're having trouble with that, that's what you're going to have to do. Change it to Native Instruments. So you're going to have to possibly remove it from the main folder and then put it in its own folder. And that will only be the image file, not the database file or preset file. You can keep that where it is. Okay, so let's try that with a instrument. So let's go, let's see, Korg. All right, please note I'm not sponsored by Korg. I purchased this. However, if you guys want to talk, get at me. Once again, grab a picture of the plugin itself, just so you have that for your artwork later. And let's go ahead and save as. Once again, remember for Mac users, go to your hard drive, users, your username, documents, Native Instruments, user content, and for Windows, go to your C drive, users, your username, documents, Native Instruments, user content. And let's go ahead and choose that and save. And let's take a look at this, see if it created. Okay, it created a folder. You may want to create a main folder, because if you have more plugins from Korg, you can do that. We'll try this and see if this works. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab this name, just so we can have that handy. Okay, now let's hide. Actually, no, we can leave that open. Okay, let's go to, nope, let's hide it. So we can see here. Okay, once again, okay, I did create a subfolder, so just keep that in mind. It may still work. So I already created the artwork and the image meta. Actually, I did this one slightly different. It may work. Normally for the image metadata, you don't necessarily put the manufacturer, but let's just go with that. That should be fine. M1 and image. And artwork. Let's take a look at. And once again, I'll refer to my previous video of creating artwork for your samples, drum kits, loops, etc. So here's the artwork and logos. Already created that. So now let's go to our resources, NI resources folder again. This will go into image. And I'm going to go ahead and just drag this whole thing over. How about that? Okay, never mind that Odyssey folder. All right, and forgot to quit Maschine again. Rescan doesn't always do it, so let's go ahead and quit it. And real important, let's go once again to our NI resources folder. And let's go to our DIST database. And once again, I already created that, so let's go ahead and just move that Korg folder over. Just a simple drag and drop. Okay, once again, we have the JSON files and then our meta. And remember, for your database, it has to be DIST database. And for images, that needs to say image. And our categories, JSON, our vendor, plugin's name. Real important, under file type, this will be instruments. And this is a synthesizer. And it may be sampled instruments, drums and percussion, sort of like you see in your factory folder or layout in Maschine. Let's go ahead and close that. And color. Not sure what color that is. We can look that up, or you can look it up online. And short name, just M1. That's fine. Okay, let's go ahead and quit that. Okay, so now if I launch Maschine again, cut the video here for the sake of time. Okay, let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, so it says synthesizer or synthesizers, M1 for the short name. And here is the actual plugin. And here's our artwork. So that's for your NKS user library files, your VST effects plugins, and your VST instruments. Okay, and for your complete control users, not sure why it does this. This might be yet another video in itself. Okay, ignore. You get a 2-for-1. So if created in Maschine or vice versa, it will pop up here. And the reason being is it shares a folder. So if you go to preferences and library users, that user content folder, it's already mapped to that. So when you launch complete control, it's automatically, and vice versa, because they're sharing that folder. So you would just have to rescan it, or preferably quit and close, and it'll rescan when it opens. So thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like and subscribe. Click the notification button for updates to keep current. Thanks.